This episode is brought to you by Stephen!
Andrew!
Do you fancy spending a quiet night inside number 9?
For the 100th time, of course I do.
Welcome to the 100th episode of A Quiet Night Inside Number 9.
How have we managed this?
Gradually.
Gradually, yeah. Slow and steady wins the race.
When does this race end?
It's a never-ending race.
It's long. Yeah, welcome. And what are we doing? We're going into the script book of Series 5, Episode 4, Misdirection, this week.
Oh, I was thrown off by the fact that ChatGPT told me this was Season 7, Episode 3.
Tell us what ChatGPT thinks this episode is about.
I've lost that synopsis. I might have to generate a new one and see if it's the same as that one. It didn't even give me... I guess this is a nice throwback for episode 100, isn't it? Write me a synopsis of the Inside Number 9 episode Misdirection.
We were kind of curious because, I mean, the last time we were using this, it was when we were doing reaction episodes to a brand new series. Obviously, Misdirection has been out for quite a long time. So ChatGPT has had plenty of time to gather the correct information. Take us away.
Just so you guys are all aware, we did this a few minutes ago just to see what happened, and it's got different names even in the last 10 minutes for the people in it. Inside Number 9 episode Misdirection, Season 7, Episode 1, is a masterfully crafted, suspenseful take that plays with the conventions of a magic trick. The story centers on a seasoned magician named Adrian, who's preparing to perform his final illusion before retiring from the stage. Adrian's wife, Rosie, is also involved in the act, which revolves around a seemingly impossible escape trick. As they prepare for the performance, there is a palpable tension between the couple, with hints of a troubled relationship and an uneasy atmosphere surrounding Adrian's impending departure from the world of magic.
That's To Have and to Hold. Is it Adrian in To Have and to Hold? I wonder what is conflating there.
Well, apparently the episode uses misdirection in the traditional sense, with the audience led to believe one thing, with the true nature of the story unfolds in surprising and often dark ways. At the heart of Misdirection is a clever interplay between illusion and reality, and the episode continually challenges the audience's expectations, both in terms of plot twists and character motivations.
I feel like this is also a bit like hearing Mystic Meg make her predictions about the National Lottery, where it's like, yeah, there's a good chance that is what an episode of Inside Number 9 is going to deliver you.
You've just described all horoscopes.
Yeah.
But it makes the mistake of telling us that this is what happens and it's based around an escape trick. It's got nothing to do with one.
It's got a bit confused, hasn't it?
Yeah. So I hope you're looking forward to, once we finish the script books, us reviewing episodes that ChatGPT tell us exist.
I think that would be quite fun. But yeah, sorry, we've totally misdirected the...
There you go.
Beginning of this episode.
And they're all wondering now what was hidden by that misdirection. What have we snuck in?
Well, do you know what we're recording this on a completely different evening to our normal one, as a special 100th episode treat for us.
And for them, for everyone.
Yeah. So this is Friday night we're doing this rather than a Sunday night. Does that make any difference?
They wouldn't have known that because of the ChatGPT stuff.
Our original plan was to do it in person, but for various reasons,
life got in the way.
Right. That's enough of this sentimental nonsense.
That's it now. That's it. That's all you're getting.
Yeah. What, generally, or?
No, any mention of episode 100.
Okay, yeah. So, what we do with these flicks through the scripts is have a look at the script books and compare what we read with what we see. And so we've done a reaction episode at some point in the past, a couple of years ago, a few years ago, probably now. And yeah, so if you want the sort of in-depth reaction to the episode, then go and listen to that first. And we will, I always say this, we will try and avoid things that we've talked about in that previous episode, but it was such a long time ago. It's very difficult to do that.
It means they can't blame us if we
don't listen
retread old ground.
Those past episodes. So if we can help it. But yeah, it was. I found it really great to go and revisit this one because it is a while since I've seen it. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. How did you feel about it?
Yeah, long enough to leave it that kind of you forget the key points of what happens. So it's nice to be surprised by things again, even though the entire thing is a bit of a slow burner of, he's up to something, he's after the code to that safe, and he's probably got the code to that safe somehow. You're pretty confident that that's going to happen by the end of the episode. But
I'd forgotten how he gets it, and it's
me too.
He gets it right at the beginning when he steals his ring. Yeah, that's it. Replaces the ring.
Yeah.
Yeah. From there on in, he's his.
He is.
Yeah. Anything that you noticed that was different in the sort of setup? There's a lot of stage directions at the beginning.
There's an entire page of direction. There's unfortunately not misdirection. It's all completely true. Pretty much. I
think some of the way that the trick is done.
Yeah, the kicking of the floor was added,
which seems actually quite important to the trick.
There was something way later about the trick itself, right towards the back end of the episode, where they talk about him spraying WD-40 on the chair that didn't make it in.
Yeah.
That made me wonder if they had an idea of how this would actually work in reality.
Yeah. What's the WD-40?
What the hell's that for?
Because that's where he's like trying to conceal the trick, isn't it? So the WD-40 would get rid of the whatever it is that makes the trick happen. And I mean, that's a very general. WD-40 could remove many, 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 many things.
Squeaks. Creaks.
Yeah.
But also scribblings, markings.
Great for whiteboards, WD-40.
It is, because it leaves the shiny finish still.
Yeah.
You don't want to use normal cleaner on those because it gets rid of that, and then you can never rub anything off ever again.
Is that right? Okay.
It is. It's a nightmare. That's why you end up with really bad whiteboards, is if you've used like cleaning fluid on them that doesn't replace the sheen, then you write on it and stuff just doesn't come off properly anymore, and it gets all grubby and horrible. There you go. Top tip, guys.
This episode is brought to you by
Clean
WD-40. Yeah. Yeah, what is it? If something's tight, use WD-40. If something's loose, use gaffer tape. And they're the only two things you ever need.
I mean, please do not. I feel like this is one of those things that, like the investment advice, where you have to say this is not investment advice. This is not DIY advice at all. Please.
Yeah.
If you've got a loose wheel nut, don't gaffer tape it.
Gaffer tape.
Don't gaffer tape it.
Well, don't blame us if it goes wrong, but you could try gaffer taping it.
You could try. Those guys on A Quiet Night Inside Number 9 told me to gaffer tape it, officer.
Yeah, so there was quite a lot cut, actually, in the first scene when Willie and Neville are...
Yeah,
having a...
the children's party stuff.
Chat.
All
yes, that was the first bit, yeah. So Willie telling Neville about the chair raising experience. He did it at kids' party last weekend, and the little buggers were everywhere. They never spotted it though.
I mean, they're probably not looking for stuff. They're quite credulous children. They're not generally looking for why. They believe that magic works. They're not looking for anything. So I guess it would be unsurprising that even if it was quite obvious from a certain angle, they wouldn't have picked it up.
Yeah.
That also saw them lose the line about Willy Wando sounding like a paedophile.
Yeah, I'm glad they lost that. That
I
didn't
do.
feel... Yeah, because he said, I can't believe you do children's parties. It's my bread and butter. No, I can't believe you do children's parties with a name like Willy Wando. No offence, but you sound like a paedophile.
Unnecessary.
And then Willy says, well, they never had a name for it when I started out. Yeah. I'm glad they dropped that.
Yeah, odd little exchange.
Yeah. I really like the picked up on Willy, because there's a really nice thing about Willy just being very philosophical about his relationship with this stuff. He like really enjoys creating these tricks, and he talks about them as tricks, which is the interesting stuff that is dropped.
The trick illusion
talking
stuff.
about, is it a trick? Is it an illusion? And Neville gets really sort of focused on
high
the
horse
fact that,
about it.
It should be an illusion, not a trick. But like, there's almost a patronising of himself when Willy says, "I'm flattered you took an interest in my little trick." And it's like, that's the sort of thing you say about, well, you and your little trick.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I'm glad you took an interest in my little trick. And there's just something really nice. There's the perspective that he has on it is cool, because he obviously is passionate about it, and he cares about like creating these illusions and delivering them, but he also has the perspective, and
it's for fun. There's nothing world changing about this. It's fun things. It's not real magic. However you feel about it, it's not genuine. There is just a method behind how it works.
Yeah.
And the easiest people to create awe and wonder in is kids, because they are not cynical enough to be looking for it, not cynical enough to be hunting for where the trick is. Mm-hmm. And he loves that. That's just what he loves doing, is making
his
kids
grandson smile at his birthday party.
Yeah.
Which is also the kind of the planting of the seed of the future of people who are passionate about magic. And what's the line he says? You're clearly a very passionate student of the magic arts, which is a line that returns later on, and Neville says it to Gabriel, which is and that's another, the fact that he's like lifted particular things from Willy, that it's more than just that trick. It's almost the whole underlying relationship with magic itself.
But also he's distorted that relationship with magic, because he takes it far too seriously, and he's made it all about this show that he's putting on when he's describing how this is probably now rehashing exactly what we spoke about first time round, but
we probably
when
he's forget about that now.
When he's doing the difference between just a straightforward street magic trick and the whole thing with the tarot cards. But then I think that's the complete opposite of, and actually I think this is where we can come back to the difference between the script and what was filmed. This whole trick illusion thing, going backwards and forwards, and him being really passionate about things being an illusion and not a cheap trick, and the reason why he looks down on street magicians and things like that, because they don't put as much effort into crafting all this stuff. They still get the reaction. They still get that incredulous reaction, and actually you can imagine that Willie might have been quite happy with the idea of just on a street corner doing card tricks that blow people's minds, because that for him was what it was all about. It wasn't about him. The show wasn't about his personality and what he was doing. It was just bang.
Yeah.
Do you enjoy that?
Exactly. Yeah, there's almost a sense of within the creative industries, that tension between people and the motives that people have for entertaining and for creating art and for sharing art and all of that sort of stuff. That feels present in this episode, as it does in certain other episodes as well.
Is this this season's critique of
it might be
the creative industry?
Yeah.
And the winner is Simon Says. There's a few of them that kind of take big digs at
the Shakespeare one.
The Shakespeare one, yep. Understudy.
Yeah.
They do like to do it now and again.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, I think that this might have that sort of sat beneath it. There's a dropped when he says, "You don't realise what you've got." Neville says, "You don't realise what you've got." And Willie says, "Oh, I do." And in the final thing, that's where it ends. But in the script, it says, "I know it's something special. It has the feel of real magic." And then Neville says, "Exactly, a proper illusion. The world should know about it. It deserves to be seen." I think "it deserves to be seen" is still left in.
But that would suggest that would be at odds with what we've just said there about Willie's character being about someone that doesn't take things too seriously and doesn't treat it as being real magic, because that's not really what he's going for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
It's the childlike wonder thing, but with the acknowledgement of it's just a trick.
Yeah, and you don't realise what you've got. He's acknowledging, yeah, I do.
Oh, I do.
Like, I really care about this, but it's also a trick, and I've come up with it, and it's fun, and I really love doing this in front of kids because it twists their melon, man. I love twisting melons.
Oh, good.
Oh, terrible. I need to take that out.
We'll put a quick clap in there so you know that needs to go. Not I didn't mean like an applause for your own filth.
And when they're talking about a little notebook, and Neville says, "What is that?" And Willy Wando in the script has a name for it, which is
How I Did It by Willy Wando.
And Neville's quick to ask, "Will you show me again?" A good magician never repeats his tricks, Neville. You know that. That sounds like something from Harry Potter. What's just come to my mind? Hagrid. Harry Potter says something. You know that. Come on. You're not allowed. I don't know. I don't know what it is.
I don't know. It just sparks a little memory.
That. You're not allowed to do magic outside of Hogwarts. You know that. Something like that. I don't know.
You could always threaten him with a nice pair of ears to go with that tail of his.
But Hagrid, we're not allowed to do magic away from Hogwarts. You know that.
Yeah, and there's a couple of those sorts of things. Look, Willie, do you mind if I call you Willie? Just show it to me one more time, please. I've never seen anything like it before. And I know magic. And then they've cut all of Neville asking for it to be shown again. And all it takes actually is for Neville to get out a bottle of whiskey and pour a glass, and Willie's like, "Oh, I'll show you one more time." Yeah. Which is
go on then. And he doesn't say it quite like in the same way Is it scripted either, does he?
A final command performance just for you, sir.
No, the bit before that. He doesn't say, well, perhaps I could show you just one more time and then maybe I'll have one for the road.
No.
It's a bit more, it's a bit looser than that.
The tone is not conveyed in that line, is it?
No.
No.
So, yeah, this is the murder scene. What I found interesting in this bit was when it says he grabs a piece of magician's rope and whips it around Willie's neck. They stagger around the room. What they fail to mention is the sight gag that then comes up with a piece of magic rope kind of untwisting itself and then being in one piece.
Yes.
Which is brilliant.
Yeah.
It's the one little bit of slapstick humor that's in this episode where he puts that rope around his neck. It comes through his neck somehow. And it's fine.
I reckon that was an Adam Tandy edition.
You reckon?
Yeah.
Was he trying to lighten the mood slightly?
Well, reading the Insider's Guide, I think Adam Tandy was worried about this scene, or worried that it would, that it could go too graphic.
Adam Tandy, may I remind everyone, supervised an episode where Steve Pemberton cut a piece out of a drugged female's ass to fry and eat in an earlier series. I feel like using a guillotine to behead someone isn't a stretch.
Maybe after that, somebody had a word with him. And ever since...
Adam, we need to talk.
He was like, I promise I won't ever let anything like that happen again. Because in the Insiders, it's kind of like talking about... he's like justifying it with, well, it was we shot it quite dark and we didn't dwell too long on the head and you couldn't see anything too graphic. There wasn't huge amounts of blood. But I think that the amount of blood that there is actually makes it worse because it's like a realist, certainly for the blunt force trauma to Steve's head or to Willie's head is more realistic than if you were just like his head explodes, blood's everywhere. Yeah. It's like, well, that's obviously sort of cartoon violence.
Gore.
Yeah. But actually it's kind of like eerily more real. And
the script's quite brutal as well. Willie twitches and Neville savagely pushes the blade down to the bottom, lopping off Willie's head, which is still covered in the scrap of the bloody sheet. His
bloody sheet
for a moment before falling still. Oh, mate.
Oh, that sheet. We can't get rid of that sheet. That bloody sheet's everywhere. I made a note. Willie's popped his head in. I think that was like there was a line about someone popping their head in earlier, and I thought, oh, that's a nice sort of foreboding.
As well as just being a very funny phrase.
It's just a great phrase. Just pop my head in. Yeah.
So that ends kind of the opening scene. Yeah. And we are then met with Jill Halfpenny in a zigzag box, who isn't asked, have you put weight on?
No. What, in the last 5 years? Past 5 years? Yeah, probably.
That went. Don't know whether that was just a tone one or a...
I think it's just not... I mean, I do have questions about the relationship, the investment that we have in their relationship, because...
Yeah, I don't...
It all feels a bit...
detached.
Yeah, yeah. And
it feels like a professional relationship and not a romantic one at all. Is that part of his personality, though?
I think so, but that also makes me, when we get to the end and she has been killed off, Spoiler alert.
They're here.
Oh yeah. Like that feels gratuitous because you're almost on Gabriel's side until that, where it's like, why have you killed off somebody and you've gone and murdered somebody potentially
If they have,
and maybe everybody's in on this thing because actually it's in everyone's interest to just put this guy in a box, literally. But yeah, I don't know. It feels like she's really hard done by in this episode.
yeah. Well, part of that, I guess, is just his building his character as an unpleasant human being. That it's things like she doesn't know about she doesn't know the code to his safe. All these kind of things. Just she's just someone who is almost kept at arm's length.
Yeah, but then she's also murdered to get back at him. Where actually, I feel that isn't a fair thing for her.
No, I guess. But if those are even real police officers at the end.
Okay, say we take everything we see at face value.
Yep.
And we believe that they are real police officers and somebody with...
Under those conditions, yes, she's really hard done by.
She's hard done, thank you. It's all I wanted to know. It's all I wanted to hear.
Good, I'm glad we agree. Good, move on.
And
next.
There's some stuff added and taken away here as well. Well, it's fine for a photograph, but you're not getting the full effect as she's in the zigzag box. And that's been replaced by the biggest deception is looking like you're enjoying it. Which, yeah, I suppose is a...
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe he said that before.
Very possibly. There's also the be careful with those blades. You've had your tetanus, haven't you? That was added in. Maybe as a bit of a nod to his previous history with blades that we've just been shown.
Yes, that's true.
I don't know if he's used that guillotine again. Then everything's kind of stuck to script for a while.
It does.
Gabriel coming in and his interview and things like that.
A reference to Twitter.
Yes.
Dated, isn't it?
They've dated themselves there, haven't they?
Have.
Probably thought that was going to go on forever.
Houdini didn't have Twitter.
Or TikTok. He'd go for TikTok, wouldn't he?
Houdini.
He'd want... no.
Oh.
This guy.
Oh, this guy. Yeah.
This guy.
Houdini. If I know Houdini.
Houdini would also... If I know Houdini...
Yeah, this guy would be...
to be honest, he's probably looking for a way out most of the time. I keep trying to delete the Twitter app, but I just can't get out of it. That's weird, Harry.
Come on, Harry.
Come on.
Yeah, and then we meet Gabriel. He's coming in to do a student interview. The ring gets swapped almost immediately. How long did it take him? In the script, 15 seconds.
In reality, only 3.
That's quite a big discrepancy.
It's a very big discrepancy, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. And they do take a big chunk out at this point as well.
Yeah, and I think this is it is potentially going to give away too much too soon.
Mm-hmm.
So what they take out is Gabriel saying, and you create all your tricks here? Neville, it's a callback to an earlier thing, which they've taken out as well. So it's, yeah.
This, and I guess actually this trick illusion thing, I think we've now kind of explained why that all now feels quite important.
Yeah.
That it's more of his purist thing, but actually they've put it to one side, and it's just been let go.
Which is really interesting because it does play quite a big part in the script, but it's obviously.
And I think it kind of speaks a lot to what we've been saying there about the difference in their attitudes, because he's all about it's not a minor trick, it's an illusion. So to let that go is quite interesting.
Yeah. But I think, so here he says, I prefer illusions, not tricks, Gabriel. Anyone can play a trick, but an illusion has to be crafted. But yes, this is still my workshop. This is literally where the magic happens. And I think we see in the kind of tarot card trick illusion, we see him make that point. So it's an implicit point rather than explicit point. And it's almost like he doesn't need to say it out loud.
Yeah.
It's kind of, it's there. And Gabriel goes on to say, you build everything by hand? Neville says, I do. It's quite unusual for someone to be a performer and designer. Ali did it, Ali Bongo, but it allows, and Ali Bongo is another reference. Does Ali Bongo come up in the actual episode? Because she makes Jenny makes reference to it as well, doesn't she? That and asks him whether he included that in the interview, and it was no, that's been cut there as well. That's interesting. Yeah, I don't know why that might be.
No, keep Ali Bongo out of it.
Yeah, who is Ali Bongo?
I don't know.
Problematic. Become problematic. Yeah, ChatGPT will give you a reliable response.
Oh, good Lord.
But it allows me to really put my signature on every piece. Gabriel says, literally? No, I mean my trademark, my methodology. The essence of a Neville Griffin illusion would be very different to a Copperfield or a Geoffrey Durham, for example. Anyway, I'm not going to. Ali Bongo
is a Gabonese former politician who was the third president of Gabon from 2009 to 2023.
Is there another Ali Bongo? Or?
It's the only one that's thrown up by... Oh, no, there is a magician as well.
The famous Gabonese president and magician.
So he was born in Bangalore, in British India, in 1929. Wallace created his Shriek of Araby character with an oriental costume and took the name Ali Bongo from a character he created for a youth club pantomime. It sounds a bit Legs Akimbo, that he co-written and appeared while in his teens. The original character has sung a song which began, "My name is Ali Bongo and I come from Pongo Pong Tiddly Pongo land." So maybe this is why
Boris
it
Johnson?
was cut. This sounds
like a Boris Johnson or a Johnson family Christmas panto.
Among his later magic catchphrases were "Uju Buju, suck another juju," "Aldi Bority, Bostico Formio," and "Hocus Pocus Fishbones Chocus."
Do you think Adam Tandy took one look at this script and was like, "Guys, no,
lose the bongo,
no,
whatever you do,
absolutely not."
Wow!
Thanks for enlightening me. I say enlightening. I feel like
things I wish I hadn't actually ever read.
Yeah,
I genuinely, sincerely apologise that any of you have had to hear that.
Right, should we move on?
I think everyone should move on from Ali Bongo. Adam Tandy clearly thought so.
Just a few differences in the way. Yeah, the card trick is done. Just a few, line changes.
They said it was a 4 of hearts, but it.
Oh yeah, that was an interesting. Any reason?
Was that just because they couldn't be bothered to keep refilming it?
It's like, the 8 of.
Does it matter?
The 8 of clubs keeps coming up, but it's got to be the 4 of. Why has it got to be the 4 of hearts?
Why does it? Is there anything significant about the 4 of hearts? Well, I don't know. There might be. when we film it and put it out, Steve and Andy will probably decide something like a pair of English literature teachers deciding that everything has a meaning. Guys, it's our job. I'm sorry.
We're a pair. We come as a pair of English literature teachers.
Yeah.
I never teach a class alone.
I wonder if there's a reason that the colour is that the thing was blue.
I like that. That's what I love about English literature. Yeah, the little story is slightly different. I didn't note down every nuanced difference in the story, but there was a old man was added rather than a man and then a stranger, as later was referred to.
Was that Reese just feeling a bit more?
I think it just had a nice
theatrical?
more, like a nice, because a nice more thing.
Nice more.
And like it starts with, it was pitch black. And I can't remember what it was that he changed it to, but it was more of a sort of, it was like a bluey, blue. Yeah. I should have noted.
Bluey.
I should have noted down exactly what he said, but
You should probably
had
spend more time in English literature classes.
It had more of an atmospheric sort of feel to it. Yeah, he
Part of the theatre.
set a good scene with his theatre. Absolutely.
There was when Gabriel starts performing his trick. He cuts the banana. I've just got Gabriel cuts the banana.
It's a good euphemism for what exactly?
Oh, go on. What would that be? Send in your ideas. If you want to use Blue Sky to send in your ideas for what the euphemism of cutting the banana might mean. He does that instead of asking Neville to do it. There's another tricks and illusions that I've noted a little bit later on as well. Ali Bongo's cut. Yeah, Ali Bongo's cut here as well, as we found for good reason.
Where's that?
No, this is a little bit later when he's on the Skype call.
Oh,
and that Skype call plays a little bit strangely, very strangely. There's very little concern given to the fact that someone's phoning up the hotel claiming to be her husband, and we probably talked about this first time round. Not a lot of concern. Who is it? Who's claiming to be you and phoning up the hotel?
Yeah, and who's claiming to be me and phoning you? And I suppose from Neville's perspective, maybe it is just like he's so self-absorbed and thinking about
It's just
his situation that
it's just odd.
Yeah. And so they cut, just call my mobile and replaced it with, why would you embarrass me like that? Like,
yeah, if you want to shout abuse at me, just call my mobile.
well,
Don't call the
and that
hotel
would,
front desk.
and that would indicate in the script, it would indicate a history of, if you want to shout abuse at me like you normally do, just call my mobile. You know that.
At least I can just put it down somewhere and ignore it for 10 minutes while you go on your rant.
Yeah. But it is strange because for all the dysfunction in that relationship, it does seem like they have the fact that they're Skyping and communicating, like there is a relationship there. But yeah, and I think that's the one thing about this episode for me that is a bit of an ambiguity. Like the nature of that relationship doesn't feel completely clear,
and it does affect the payoff at the end. If you depending on how you view that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so she brings up here about the when he asks her about Mount Weasel.
Yep.
And she talks about her definition for what a Mount Weasel is, and explains the whole thing with Philip Columbo
I remember this conversation
being
from
his
the
first
original
name.
episode
Do you?
because I was thinking we know Columbo's first name's Christopher.
Oh, yeah. But what we didn't know was that we've got in the filmed version, but not in the scripted version, or it's not vice versa, is it? No, they
give
the
D.I.
the
Hewson a first name in the
filmed
version. Yeah.
So they didn't script him a first name, but when they filmed it, they decided to go with Philip for the first name.
And this is where this throws the whole thing into
disarray.
Because is it that D.I. Hewson is in fact some fictional Columbo character because his name is Philip?
Yes, I think he might be. I think this might be a part of the play because we don't know what happens after this. Does this then give Gabriel just open access to an empty safe because he's been taken away and out of the picture? He's not actually arrested because he's not been arrested at all. He's just been taken away but believes he has been arrested. His workshop is now open with an open safe. Go get your stuff. You've got what you need. She hasn't been murdered at all.
I like that. That's a nicer end. I like that.
You prefer that?
Yeah. I don't like her being murdered.
That's big of you.
Thank you.
There's one thing I hate.
Many years
ladies being murdered.
Yeah. No.
Ask anyone. I'm a feminist. Ask.
There's just no. There's no part of me that feels like that she could be part of this.
Deserve it.
Yeah, no, exactly. And no one really deserves being murdered.
No, okay, all right, fair. That's fair.
But like the fact that she would be, especially in a plot that is like a bit of a vengeance thing, and you're on his side, but then also you're on her side. So why that she shouldn't be the.
She shouldn't be collateral damage.
Yeah, she shouldn't be the object of the revenge.
No.
Ultimately.
Well, although she's not though, she's not the object of the revenge because the revenge isn't to kill her to get at him. The revenge is to kill her to frame him.
Oh, that's fine then.
So but you know what I mean? It's not, it's not playing on the fact there's a relationship there. It's playing on the fact that he's suspect number one for the fact he's deleted all of his footage. He's got no alibi for where he was. He's got a bloody razor blade in his thing, which won't, he will go to prison
for a murder.
Now he's looking at that going, clever boy, because he reckons it's got her blood on it.
Yeah.
But it may not have her blood on it. And if it doesn't have her blood on it, it's probably Gabriel's from the trick from earlier.
No, but it's if Gabriel has gone and murdered her with that knife and then come and put it in the safe.
Yeah, I think I'd have to think again about the timeline of how that whole thing played out.
Yeah.
And when he got back into plant.
Okay, I like the idea that like Jenny's in on this. Gabriel,
but she doesn't need to be in on it, does she? Because as long as he's not expecting to hear from her past this point,
yeah.
Like as long as there's no sense
she's just with a client,
she's just doing her thing. She's just carrying on with her day. He just hasn't heard from her. He doesn't expect to. Okay, fine.
Where's he being taken?
Doesn't matter. He's out of the way at this point. He might just be being bundled into the back of a car and taken out to the woods. So it doesn't matter.
So would we be presuming that he's being got rid of? So he's the one that gets killed?
He doesn't even have to be gotten rid of. You cut to this 3 hours later when a sort of out of breath, disheveled Neville runs back into his unit to find all of his stuff gone from his safe, and knowing that there are bad things coming his way
from his safe as well.
He only burn the handwritten copies though.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know where the original one is. Because he didn't take it, did he?
No.
Didn't he handwrite copies so that he didn't take it and therefore it looked less suspicious? I mean, actually, no. Looked less suspicious that a head was in a basket. Well, no, he disappeared. No, he disappeared. No, grandfather disappeared, didn't he?
But he didn't. And he was supposed to have, in the effects, he was supposed to have that book. But the book wasn't there.
Yes.
So him copying out of that book was pointless. He might as well have just kept the book. But then that was a way of him. So he's probably just destroyed the book, but done copies.
Possibly.
Yeah.
What's in the safe?
I think it was just his copies.
And if that's it, yeah. Well, if that's the case, then this whole plan involving a fake DI was pointless. Because what have they got out of his empty safe?
I need something that doesn't mean that she dies.
Jenny's dead.
Yeah.
I think you've got something.
Thanks, man.
I need a part 2 to this episode to see how the rest of it played out.
Yeah. Yeah, we need a part 2.
When the police arrive, they don't just simply say his wife's dead, as in the script. They say that a lady matching his wife's description has been found.
Yeah, it's probably
which I think is the actual correct way that he's dead. Yeah. Rather than guess who's dead? Who? Your wife.
Your wife's dead, mate. Yeah. Which maybe adds to it is the real police. If it was just your wife's dead, maybe that would be
amateur hour.
Yeah. He's come in from the Amateur Dramatic Society, the local Amdrams.
Legs akimbo.
Yeah, and some of the flashbacks towards the end about Mount Weasel, I think that's cut.
Yeah.
Stuff with Jenny. And then the final bit in the script is cut as well.
The voiceover.
Yeah. The misdirection is the elaborate narrative that allows a simple trick to hide in plain sight. Anyone can play a trick, but an illusion has to be crafted, which again is that difference.
Yeah.
And it's almost like, because I think that's alluding to Neville is being dragged off and he's telling D.I. Houston.
It also feels a little bit sixth form production.
Yeah.
Having that thing being said over the end. Don't like it.
No, I'm glad that was cut. Yeah, because it's like it's saying something about him that I don't think is consistent with his character, which is basically he's completely oblivious to the fact that, I don't know, there's like, I need to make my point of this is why I think an illusion is more important than a trick. Yeah.
Sharp.
Do you know something that really annoyed me as I was editing last week's episode was how long it took us to finish?
Oh, really?
There was a lot of like, yeah, so...
Get on with it.
I was like, just finish the episode and then you can do your sort of like, no, you hang up. No, you hang up. You can do that afterwards once you stop recording. Yeah, so if you're listening and you have anything to add to what we've said, then please do email us, quietnightinsideKnow9@gmail.com, and follow us on Blue Sky and communicate with us, because it would be nice to hear from you at AQNIN9 and all of the Blue Sky stuff that comes with that. And if you fancy, I don't know, sponsoring a future episode, then you can drop us a few quid on PayPal. Put the link in the show notes, and your name will come up at the beginning of the next episode, or the episode after you do that and we record it. Whatever. Fantastic. Yes. I mean, we've had to front this episode ourselves, haven't we?
We have.
But we don't mind that. We'll do that for you guys. That's fine.
We've had to dig deep into our pockets, but
to just do what we always do.
we'll try that again.
What do I need to say something again? What do I need to say? Well, this has been a lovely 100th episode.
Yeah.
Feels kind of sad that we'll never have a 100th episode again.
Oh, you're right.
Well, I guess we'll have to do Thinking Out Loud next week.
That is the bed that we've made for ourselves. Yeah.
I look forward to that. In the meantime, have a good time.
Thanks, mate. You too.
See you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.